image, correct? Chief Wildwater. Image.
Which one am I gonna use?
The one that's on there.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. All right, so we're gonna do a little throwback moment just to show that nothing's changed. We was on this type of time back when I was a jet. Let's get into it. You got it, Chief Biko.
It's supposed to be the land of the free. I don't see how. Count me in. Oh, America. Oh, America. Yeah. America. Sweet land of liberty, y'all. I'm doing this one for the struggle. And everybody doing brother, sister, daddy, your mother, who living in the gutter. You want better cars and a better heart. Another star, your home yard, and a place to park. You want a trusting wife and a better life, a bigger crib and a home cooked meal. Every single night, hell, you feel what you going through. But I could have warned you when it's time to be a man. Do all you can, see other lands, and don't be living for the other man. Take time out, set it in, be the better man, and closely watch your friends, and then you'll understand a little better then. But on the other hand, you so goddamn stubborn, and you be starting shit. And ever since you made president, we ain't even seen you since. You need to visit our schools, rebuild our church and home, and stop killing my own kind and leave my earth alone. And stop tapping my phone and searching my brain, and keep your personal feelings home when you bet on my phone. Do it for the weak and strong, and the each his own. Do it for the main goals when all the heat is gone.
Told me, you was told me, sold me, not the free.
No
way, not in America.
Not America.
Not America.
Not in America.
Our country is liberty.
Liberty.
That'll never be.
No
way, not in America.
Not in this America.
Not in America.
No.
You only got $2 and give less than a fuck.
Then you a nigga.
Got a nice home in a Lexus truck.
You a nigga.
World champions and you MVP.
You a nigga.
4 degrees and a PhD.
Still a nigga.
To use your platinum card, you need 4 IDs.
Then you's a nigga.
If your skin is brown just like me,
Then you a nigga.
got a promotion and a fat ass raise.
You still a
You
nigga.
from the islands and your peoples was enslaved.
You a nigga.
No matter how much your ass get paid.
You still a
Shot
nigga.
by the cops at a traffic stop.
Cause you a nigga.
That's why I hold toast too. I sell by coastal, international. They into catching you with satellites from deep space. Now, who invented niggas in the first place? They said America's the original birthplace. Who getting 10, 20 life on their first case?
My niggas.
This game wasn't told me. You was told me, you not the free.
No
way, not in America.
Not America.
Not America.
Not in America.
Our country is liberty. That'll never be.
No
way, not in America.
Not in this America.
Not in America.
No. I'm doing this one for the kids in the street who ain't missed a beat. Do it for the deaf and the blind and those who won't even eat. Do it for all the churn of the corn and the unborn. Do it for the speedy trials and all the lies in the sworn. How you gon' teach a man over this crooked ass preacher man when your whole congregation driving a brand new Benz and biting brand new sins loud on a million man and all my brothers, sisters, them daddy, them doing time in the pen. Again, America told me,
You was told me,
sold me.
you not the free.
No
way, not in America.
Not America.
Not America.
Not in America.
Our country is liberty. That'll never be.
No
way, not in America.
Not in this America.
Not in America.
No.
This game wasn't told me. You was told me,
Sold me.
you not the free.
No
way, not in America.
Not America.
Not America.
Not in America.
Our country is
Is it?
liberty.
They try to take advantage of a nigga cause I'm black. They looking at me strange, so I'm looking at their ass back. I got a little problem, so I'm writing you a note. A letter to the KKK from the black folks. I'm trying to get it on, trying to check the grip. And there goes Officer Cracker trying to sink my fucking battleship. Turning on his flashes, calling up the dogs. Now my Lexus coupe is flat, surrounded by the hogs. Snatching out my seats, telling me I sell dope. Am I on probation or parole? I tell them fuck no. Tell me, Mr. Officer, what's the problem? What's the matter? What you gotta treat us like scum? Is it that niggas doing a tad bit better than you? And brutality is all that you crackers can do. And lock me up for resisting your ass, when in reality, Officer Friendly kicked my ass. Damn, you overflex your authority, dude. Put your foot in my shoe and let me try on your boot, so I can run it in reverse. You can treat me like God, and I can treat you like dirt. The 22 years I've been here, I saw motherfuckers disrespect God before they disrespect the law. But yo, I got to diss them, cause I refuse to be misled by this ungodly system. Mr. President, I'm beating on your back door. I'm making mine doing rap for them black dough.
Well, United States of America, you honestly believe just because you wear bags that means you care? You have the right to abuse and treat my people like they're animals in the street? I'll be damned, your blood will flow with the hands of the black man in the same street that you killed me and my brothers in.
Mr. Officer, Mr. Sergeant, just because I'm young and I'm black, I'm a target. You say I'm selling dope, but you're fake, cause young dope dealers flash cash and make mistakes. And besides, we ain't dealing no more. Look at my hood, we ain't killing no more. So, everybody's yelling peace. The only war that's going on is going on with the police, cause they ain't stopping with the bullshit. If they could, they lock us up with some chains and swing a bullwhip, cause they figure they're the master, and they can take you to jail or take your lives, them sorry bastards. That makes me wonder why the 5-0 can determine if we live or if a nigga dies. And to me, that shit is wrong. Only God can take life, but I still gotta watch the law. It's bad enough I watch the next Jeep, but even worse, I got to watch the motherfuckers who protect me. They fucking pack a cat show. They serve and protect, they don't respect, cause I'm black, ho.
Every black man that is a carjacker will start jacking police cars and watch your brains shed on the dashboard. Why will you pull us over? You show us your pistols before you ask us for our driver's license.
Rolling through my hood in my motherfucking dropper, getting tailgated by your motherfucking copper. But I ain't got respect for you motherfucking dickheads, cause y'all was straight hoes back in school, nerdy shitheads. I finally figured out why you bitches rolling packs, cause niggas who ain't shit talk loud and pack gats. You got a fucking pistol, now you think you're a vet man, but you can get got because you be just like the next man, holding me for nothing. Running my fucking license plates, my plates come clean. You're calling the DEA, the DEA says I'm a known drug dealer, straight born killer, a motherfucking wig splitter. He don't know shit about a nigga, but I'm black. As far as he's concerned, all niggas push crack. And plus I'm 22, that really makes him check. A drop top Benz, Lexus coupe, no respect. I gotta be doing wrong, I'm hiding something from the demons. He gotta be slanging yayo, let's pay someone to spring him, cause niggas can't have shit, but I'm a motherfucking troop. You come to us like Luke, undercover David Duke, Mr. David Duke. Mr. Officer, Mr. Master, I'm picking out your carpenter. Die, motherfuckers, I send you folks my worst. A brass stuffed pig in the motherfucking hearse. So fuck you motherfuckers, punk bitches, take that. Cause I'm real with this shit that I speak, cause I...
Shout out to the fair use policy. Shout out to the fair use policy. Had to do a little Brad Jordan, the best solo rapper alive, king of the South. It's on you, Chief Biko.
All right. So definitely shout out to everybody in the chat for rocking with us. Great song selection there, Chief Alligator. This is week 2 of the 13-week fiscal program of recovery for American prisoners of war. Again, you have myself, Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Alligator as well as Chief Quietwater. And here, as always, we focus more so on that first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. Today we'll have Chief Alligator start us off with this week's American Inventor.
I got
I got it. I got it
Oh.
this week.
Got you, Quietwater.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Just a moment. Had it pulled up here. Okay. Okay, so this week I have William J. Nickerson, and the invention that he made was the mandolin and guitar attachment for pianos. And basically it was an attachment that he invented to put on the piano to modify the tone to make it sound more like kind of like a guitar sound. So the patent number is 627739. The patent date is June 27th, 1899. He was born November 10th, 1865. I didn't get when he passed away. I didn't get that information, but basically he was born in New Orleans, spent the majority of his life in New Orleans. And he was a music instructor at Southern University. He was also a musical performer and educator in New Orleans. He graduated from Straight University, which is a college in New Orleans. And William J. Nickerson and his children, they were one of the first pioneers of the New Orleans Creole style music that we even know today. He had 3 children and all were musicians. And they have just a legacy of just music and in their family. And his daughter was Camille Nickerson, which she was a renowned pianist and composer known as the Louisiana Lady. So I thought that was very interesting information, just something as simple as an attachment to the piano to kind of change the sound of the piano tone.
Okay. Excellent inventor for this week. Next we'll have Chief Alligator with this week's Dr. Woodson quote. Let me share my screen. Then go from there. Oh no, don't want to do that.
Got it. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that's rocking with us. It's been a week since the Supreme Court made that decision, not using race. So we're gonna have a conversation before we get back into this Cointel Pro. Can you scroll down a little bit, Chief Biko? I want to get into the one where the Negro practices much hindsight. Where we at? Hold on, you're scrolling too fast.
Here we go.
You see it?
Dog, I thought, yeah, here we go. 12.
Okay. All right. So today's Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote, I'm gonna do quote number 12. As we all know by now, he is the creator of what we know as American History Month. We have to walk away from the word Black, Negro, and colored, especially since the Supreme Court last week, which is the highest court under this government, is walking away from race. So we're going to get into, they're walking away from the murder scene, y'all. But I'm going to do quote 12 today. Quote 12 says, the Negro in his present plight, however, does not see possibilities until it is too late. He exercises much hindsight, and for that reason, he loses ground in the hotly contested battles of life. The Negro, as a rule, waits until a thing happens before he tries to avert it. And I chose this quote today because we're always talking about a 13 fiscal week forecast, looking into the future, 13 weeks ahead or 90 days ahead, and then coming back in the present and walking that goal down. Historically, as a group of people, we have not set a goal since the civil rights era. So everybody that's born in the 70s up until now, we got to own that. We got to hold that L as a team. We may be representing individually in our personal lives, whatever success may look like, but as a team, we are defeated. We have not won a game yet. And we just lost our most recent game with the Supreme Court ruling. And all this week, we heard Negroes looking in hindsight, right? The verdict is over. The case is closed, right? Under this system we live under, once the judge makes this opinion, that's it. So now it's time to start getting on offense, which is what we promised that we were going to do starting this third year with this channel. It's time to start moving forward and challenging quote unquote public servants. So I'm gonna stop right there. Y'all want to share on that real quick? That's quote 12 for today. How we never set a goal and look in the future. We're always Monday morning quarterbacking after the ass whooping.
Definitely. I think that we've definitely shown over and over how they have always projected and planned and have always been on the just steps ahead of us. And then we bitch and complain after the fact, after something has happened, after laws have passed, after, someone gets killed, or, we always complain after it has happened, whatever that it is. And I just think that this is just the icing on the cake at this point with this affirmative action decision this week. And we need to open up our eyes and see where we really stand. And I think that we're just oblivious to where we are.
No, I agree. We don't take a lot of preventive measures as a group. Basically is what is being said by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in this quote, and it still rings true today, with the latest example being the affirmative action. So if we haven't learned anything within these 100 and let's say 10 plus years since, Dr. Carter G. Woodson actually made these quotes, that just shows again that we are not practicing foresight, but instead are still practicing hindsight. Because how can this still be something true if he's telling us, in 1900 that, hey, the Negro practices a lot of hindsight. And obviously we're still doing the same thing today. So yeah, we definitely have to go ahead and start planning ahead. That way, when things do transpire, we're not caught off guard. Again, we have preventive actions, or we have, contingency plans that we can go to. But as of right now, like you stated, Chief Alligator, just a lot of Monday quarterbacking, a lot of highlight reels that we just pretty much sit and talk about.
Right. And if I can say one more thing on that, I dropped a video of me at the range under the video tab. And I did that for one reason. And we talked a little bit about class last week when the affirmative action came out. And, we pointed that video or that live toward the highly schooled of our group. One of our biggest problems is we got to realize that everybody's different. Don't throw people under the bus that aren't like you. We come from tribes that all have a parent called a Confederacy. I put that video up because I want to ask a couple of questions to everybody that's in the chat and anybody that may re-listen to this video. Does that make me a thug because I have a hobby of shooting? When you look at somebody who looks like yourself, your quote unquote brother, does that make me a thug? Does that make me a super predator in your eyes? Because it's interesting, when the European shows his marksmanship, he's given credit and respect for it. But when your own people, same marksmanship, do you look at me like I'm a thug? And I just want to take this moment just to share a little bit about how I'm able to have that hobby. My father was an Air Force veteran. My mother was an Army veteran. My mother was the first female on that side of my family to join the military. My mother was also a military police officer in the military. My father was drafted in 1965 to the Vietnam War. So the only reason I'm saying that is we have to open our minds and understand everybody's not the same, but don't be quick to judge your own people because you don't know who raised them and where they come from.
Right.
I used to hate that shit growing up because I was always forced to have more responsibility and discipline than everybody I grew up with. It's because I came from military parents. You see what I'm saying? So I just wanted to throw that out there because we quick to, anytime we see somebody who can defend themselves and protect themselves, this propaganda has got us looking at our own like, oh, he's a thug, he's a criminal. Nah, I just had two conscious parents that were trained how to kill by this government, and they instilled it in their son. I'm gonna stop right there. Well, let me ask a question, Chief Quietwater. Can you share a little bit about your mom and the movement that she was a part of, so that people can kind of get an idea who we descend from and how we don't fall from the tree as far as standing up for our people? Can you share a little bit about what you found out about your mom?
Yeah, so my mother, she was actually a part of the Black Panther movement as well. She has never really shared in depth in regards to her involvement, but she was definitely active in those times. So I didn't grow up with my mother, but I think it's just something that was, just spiritually in me, to, have this I guess, leadership or this spirit in me in regards to just standing up without me even knowing that until, I became, an adult. But yeah, so she was active back in the day.
Chief Biko, where you think your spirit comes from? Because you have a family and you got people in your family tree like all of us do. When we hear the stories of our family, we come from people who stood up, and that may not be everybody's story.
Correct. Just definitely myself. Father was in the Army, fought in Desert Storm. Mother always had a rebellious spirit. My grandfather was in the military as well. So just coming from, that lineage of, okay, being at least willing to fight has always, again, been in my family. But as far as like, where I would say I got that, this mindset from would definitely be both parents. My father, again, having that discipline instilled in me from him having that military experience, his father having military experience. So I can see, again, like you stated, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Even though I never went and joined the armed service, I can see how certain ways about my dad's being was still able to, instill that discipline into myself as well. Just as far as me, being held to a certain standard versus, again, like you stated, my friends, even visiting some of them in their households, like, dog, y'all can do this. That shit would never fly in my household. So even stuff like that. And then again, from my mom, just always having that rebellious spirit from her, always challenging the norm, and also always being open-minded. So I think I definitely got that from her. And then as far as the discipline, getting that from my father. And again, also that open-mindedness as well. But yeah, I would say I got my my mindset and my being from both my parents in regards to that. And it's funny, we have a common thread in that both having, or all three of us having, family members either active in a activist role or some type of military background.
Right. So we can keep it moving. Let's get into it tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before we jump into it, go ahead and do the legal definitions and maroon historical points, and then we'll jump into the conversation before the Cointel. So number 1, American, indigenous to America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. slavery. Number 3, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Number 6, education, an enlightening experience. Number 7, recovery, a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength, the action or process of regaining possession of something stolen or lost. And lastly, the 5 maroon historical points. Number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number 3, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number 5, maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. And those are the maroon historical points. Let me stop sharing real quick. Pull up these other ones.
While you pulling that up, we're going to have a little interaction for about 15, 20 minutes, y'all. We want to go through the, we put a litmus test out there during the weekend on the community page, asking the question, are we in an act of war/genocide? And we're going to drop the link. Chief Quiet Ward is going to drop the link in the chat for the website that goes in detail about the Jewish Holocaust. And we're just going to take a time real quick, and we're just going to run through the 10 stages of genocide, and we're just going to run it with our American history, which is what you know how we rocking on this channel. And I was extremely surprised personally. Not one hater. Normally you'll get somebody got a hate, right? So you'll get one dislike. It was 100%. Everybody was in agreement the last time that we checked earlier today on the vote. So no one is half the battle. We're all on the same accord mentally. Now it's just time to move forward and start having conversations with these public servants, because the people are aware of one thing while the media and public servants are saying another. So it's time for those two opposing forces to clash. So go ahead, Chief Biko, you got it. I just wanted to say shout out to everybody that participated in the vote, because that was a litmus test to see where are we at mentally. So we all on the same page now. We all are not under any more illusions. Now it's time to get down to the get down.
Correct. And definitely what we want to do, and definitely get involved as well, everybody in the chat. Just going to go through these 10 stages one by one, and just kind of give our take on, or give examples rather, of each, let's just say each category that they have listed as far as the stages of genocide. So we look here, the stages are: number 1, we have classification; 2, symbolization; 3, discrimination; 4, dehumanization; 5, organization; 6, polarization; 7, preparation; 8, persecution; 9, extermination; and 10, denial. So we'll go ahead and read off each one of their pretty much definitions of each, and then we'll just go through, everybody on the panel give their examples, as well as people in the chat give your examples of, you know, how this parallels with our group in regards to the genocide that has happened on this land, which is the killing or extermination of the American. So if we see here, classification, the difference between people are not respected. There's a division of us and them, which can be carried out using stereotypes or excluding people who are perceived to be different. Right off the bat, I'll start off with examples of just classification in general, whether that's misclassification or reclassification. At the end of the day, it is classifying us as something that we are not, which has been Negro, Black, Colored, Afro-American, and African-American. That's the first stage of genocide, and that is what has clearly been practiced by this United States government, which is to classify us as things that we are not. What is African American? What is a Black? What is a Afro-American? What is a Negro? All of these terms to describe what we know is the American, but again, not calling the American, but instead calling themselves being this European that has set up this United States government, actually taking on our name and then renaming or reclassifying or misclassifying us as a group. So again, making that perceived difference, but also making it be perceived as if they are truly the American, and as we are supposed to be, cargo within a ship. So that's my take on it. I'll listen to everyone on the panel, and definitely, as far as everybody in the chat, drop yours as well. Just some examples of classification that we can all just kind of build on.
I definitely agree. Like you said, I think the misclassification and reclassification of us throughout the years to fit whatever agenda and whatever grand scheme or plan that they have in place. So I think that we have definitely been through that stage, and we're currently in that stage of, them lumping us in a group of now just people of color. So that goes with whatever else in that big pot. So I definitely think classification has always been done, and we are currently going through a reclassification as we speak.
Yeah, for me, we don't have to, like I said, we already know everybody's on the same frequency with us mentally, but for me, you cannot classify someone unless you first imprison them. So when we say prisoner of war, we can see that step one of a genocide or becoming a prisoner of another group of people is they start to rename you. So we can't play dumb anymore. As the universe keeps aligning with us with this recent affirmative action coming down from the Supreme Court, it's this time, I'm really for the men. And shout out to Copper Empress, I was able to catch her bill earlier today. And what I heard was a bunch of women crying out for the men for protection. So this is a call on us, men. Our women are crying out. They're seeing everything we're about to list right now. The women see it, but the women are not supposed to be out there with their chest out trying to fight opposing men of other groups. That's our job. So we've played around for 60 years. We've preached, we've given oral presentations. We've run around the country making hundreds of thousands of dollars, making people feel good without being the preacher, but making people feel good. But at this point, man, you're either gonna stand up or you're gonna sit down. So yeah, classification is the first indoctrination to imprisonment on this land. For most of us, it either started with the census record or the Dawes Roll. So we have to be careful when we're bragging about, my people can go back to such and such census record. That just means that's when your family became prisoners under the United States government, and they classified them. And they put down whatever they wanted to put down, mulatto, black, Negro. So classification, can we check off that step one in genocide? We all meet.
Yeah.
All in agreement. How about in the chat? Is everybody in agreement that we qualify for step one of a genocide? You could put a 1 in the chat. If this definition fits our American story. Go ahead, Chief Biko.
Well, let's keep it moving here. Number 2, symbolization. This is a visual manifestation of hatred. Jews in Nazi Europe were forced to wear yellow stars to show that they were different. Again, another example of a genocide or unlawful warring or war being waged on a group of people is symbolization. What I was able to go ahead and kind of come up with some examples that pertain to us would be, hell, we can go to minstrel shows symbolizing us as these caricatures of, so-called humans, or if they want to call it Negroes, these caricatures of people. Also going back to symbolization, just identifying who is who, going back to colored restrooms, colored water fountains, happen to sit in colored sections. All of these would be considered symbolizations again, manifested through hatred for our group of people. Those are just some examples that I was able to kind of like think back on. Anything from you all as far as like symbolizations? I couldn't think of anything like a yellow star, but definitely just as far as labeling what is what for our particular group of people.
Yeah, that's exactly what I came up with. The the different bathrooms and the white and black water fountains and things of that nature. So that's exactly what I came up with as well.
Yeah, for me, I would add on to that. We didn't need a star on our back like they did the Jews because we're different skin complexion than them.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't need the star on our back because our skin is part of our symbolization. But I also thought about the cartoons. When I grew up, Tom and Jerry was a big thing for my generation. And the woman in Tom and Jerry, that she was in certain skits, you never saw her face, only saw her feet and her flip-flops and her mismatched socks. And she would always say, Thomas, but they always had that Aunt Jemima kind of sounding woman in the background. Daffy Duck would be another symbolization for me. Just thinking back over my childhood, how Daffy Duck was like the nigga. You see what I'm saying? He was the slick salesperson. He always had the game and the slick mouthpiece. And even Thomas, for those that remember, it was one cartoon where Thomas fell in love with this little female cat. And he was singing this song, Is You Is, or
Yeah.
Ain't My Baby. And he dressed in the zoot suit, but he's mimicking us. So it's always been a mimicker of us. And then even with our sitcoms, I remember in Living Color and Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy, we always have to be the Joker in front of mass media. Bill Cosby was the only sophisticated role model that I saw growing up. Everybody else has to be an asshole and has to crack jokes, and the American man can never take things real serious. So those would be my examples of symbolization, never really putting in front of us people who we can respect their minds, right? It's always got to be silly and comical. And in today's world, it would be Medea. Here you got a man cross-dressing, it's that's what sticks out to me with symbolization. And then last and not least, how can I forget when I was in high school, when Joe Biden hit the 94 crime bill? My generation became super thugs, right? Those of us that are old enough to remember, they labeled Generation X super thugs. And so then we get the mass incarceration, jumps off of that, and we get the school to prison pipeline that jumps off of that. That started with our generation. When we got to 25, that was a celebration. How I forgot about that, but that's what I thought about when we were looking at these steps. It was a big thing to get to 25 as a young man. If that ain't a prisoner of war status, what is? Nobody else celebrates that you made it to 25. Because that's supposed to lessen your interaction with the police. So we've gotten 30 years of this and it hasn't stopped. I'll stop right there on that.
Correct. And if, those examples rhyme with what we're reading here in that second stage, which is symbolization, definitely go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat if that definitely rhymes with our story as the American on this land. With number 3, we have discrimination. And they say the dominant group denies civil rights or even citizenship to identified groups. 1935, Nuremberg laws stripped Jews of their German citizenship, made it illegal for them to do many jobs or to marry German non-Jews. Discrimination, we can easily go to the 1960s Civil Rights Acts. The whole point of those acts, well, at least one of them, which is that 1964, was to end discrimination, or at least end desegregation, which again, discrimination based upon, color, race, etc. So we already just spoke on the symbolization when it came to colors only, or blacks only, water fountains, whites only, restaurants, things of that nature. So that's a clear example of discrimination against our people. And I'll let you all kind of build on that.
Yeah, I think that's like you said, going back to the 1960 Civil Rights Act. I mean, it was just there. Like we're still going through it today in regards to even like the Jim Crow laws.
Mhm.
Nothing has really changed much, and even going back to the two songs that we decided to play at the beginning today, those were 20 years ago, and it's relative today. So nothing has really changed. So we're definitely neck deep in discrimination,
Correct. And
drowning in it.
even going back to that, when you said Jim Crow laws, they weren't saying, um, you know, people of color. They were being specific in regards to who could not. So the
Mhm.
discrimination was very specific. It wasn't to Mexicans,
Right.
Chinese people,
And back
hell,
then, there was also laws that prohibited white women to marry,
correct,
black
correct.
men.
Hmm.
Men were getting killed for whistling at white women. So
Correct.
definitely discrimination.
Mhm.
So we're
Right.
just really highlighting, we are definitely going through each of these steps in real time.
Correct. And just to add on to that, Chief Quietwater, what you just said, we still percent sure, got a little echo. We still cannot show 100% that we are US citizens, as we described last week. We don't go through the process that every other immigrant goes through. And we've shown you that in 1968, 1 week after the FBI and the United States government assassinated MLK, they had the audacity to define specifically Indian rights and what an Indian was, what an Indian tribe was, what their government was. So these are the questions that we have to start coming to the Black Congressional Caucus public servants and saying, why is it that we don't have what the 1968 Civil Rights defines as Indian rights? The Asian caucus don't have this problem. The Hispanic caucus don't have this problem. The Black caucus is the oldest caucus out of all of them. And we have yet to be defined through law, through Congress, signed by the president. So if we're going to remain a race, and the Supreme Court has now said we're not using race anymore, all roads point back to Congress. Like we've been saying, we got a congressional issue. Judicial branch interprets what Congress makes. This ain't hard. Congress is the voted supply. That's the power supply. They make the law. The judicial branch interprets it. We've never been made into their law. So yeah, I say step 3 is a check mark as well with discrimination. We right in line with the Jew of Germany.
Correct. And if those of you are in agreement, go ahead and drop a 1. If that checks off the mark, we'll jump to number 4, dehumanization. Those perceived as different are treated with no form of human rights or personal dignity. During the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, Tutsis were referred to as cockroaches. The Nazis referred to Jews as vermin. And the European referred to the American as what? Porch monkeys, shit. The list goes on, watermelon eaters. I mean, we've seen the photos, even going back to, as you stated earlier, Chief Alligator, with the cartoons, again, painting that caricature of what the American is, what they do. Country bumpkins, again, like you stated, having that Aunt Jemima look or caricature portrayed on us. And also just, even going back to something as recently as, let's say, 2 months from today, when it came down to Jordan Neely. That brother was dehumanized.
Right.
Just because he was a homeless, and we'll use it for lack of a better term, black man. They said, oh, I mean, shit, the dude that killed him, we no need to, arrest you. We'll question you and go ahead and release you. It was only until, outrage that the actual officers who are supposed to serve actually did their jobs and actually arrested the individual. But again, that just was a clear real-time example of a dehumanization of someone that looks just like us, just because, again, he was homeless. So as if, you're worthless, you're trash. So I think that was just a clear, real-time example in 2023 that we can go back to and just see, okay, yeah, the dehumanization is still taking place today.
And even, I mean, just with all the killings, by police officers, we know the names, I think that that's definitely can fit into this category. So we can't forget that for sure.
Absolutely. As well as the United States government's postal service issuing out postcards of our lynching. I mean, they're openly telling you about race riots, but now they've removed race. So I guess, what are they going to reclassify what they call the race riots now? When they ran us out of towns, you got people still living. I'm going to keep saying this like a broken record. There are people still living from Tulsa, Oklahoma, bombing. United States government militarily attacked Tulsa, Oklahoma, and hundreds of other towns that we were operating in. That's dehumanization. Chief Biko's generation. I don't think we really understand that Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, all of those kids would be around Chief Biko's age today if they weren't murdered. Tamir Rice, Ahmaud Arbery, Philando Castile, Freddie Gray. I mean, we've seen cats get killed selling single cigarettes, selling CDs, pulling out their gun permit, eating ice cream in their house, jogging. Come on, y'all. I mean, yeah, we checked that mark for dehumanization. I'm with you on that. So we 4 in a row so far on this road to genocide.
Correct. Go ahead and drop that one for those in the chat in agreement. Number 5, we have organization. Genocides are always planned. Regimes of hatred often train those who go on to carry out the destruction of a people. I think Chief Alligator just gave a perfect example of, the Tulsa massacre, the Tulsa bombings, the war that was being waged on our group of people. Not only that, I mean, the biggest one that we can all come up and probably, say at the same time would be the Ku Klux Klan. Not only them, I believe, last year, close to this time, I would say probably in like September, we showed a video of the Anti-Defamation League talking about how the Proud Boys had members of their organization within government, not only within government, but basically just in everyday life. So we're seeing the organization of our genocide, and it's being taken place, or the plan is being executed on every level, regardless of if you're a janitor, if you're a preacher, all the way up to if you are a congressman or a senator. We're seeing the organization, and again, it's just multifaceted and multi-layered.
And I think also that can go back to the step that Chief Alligator mentioned today is us, being so many steps behind and only, realizing things on the other side of when, their plan has already manifested. Because they've calculated this, their plans for generations, and, and we're on the tail end of trying to figure things out why we're where we are right now. I also think just the miseducation of us, how we have allowed our group to be miseducated and, not trying to, on a mass level, change, how we have been miseducated by them. So I definitely think their organization and plans against us has put us right in line with this step as well.
Correct. I would agree with y'all. Going back to the 2 songs, I'm gonna go with Scarface, I'm Black. That dropped in 92. I'm in high school back then. So I'm showing the difference of how the rappers, what they call gangster rappers back then, were really reality rappers. So this ain't nothing new. This is 30 years old, talking about what the police have been doing to us since the war on crime and the war on drugs. So I've lived through that era. So we can't leave out the police. It's an organization, that has mass incarcerated a lot of us, and we can't leave out the militia. Had you told me prior to 2020 that the ground floor of the United States government is the militia, I would be like, okay, you got a little Farrakhan to you, you got a little militant speak to you, but I don't really want to go that far. But I can't take back what I saw in 2020. What I saw was a dragon wake up and blow fire out its mouth. How can I say that? Every city that there were protests in, they brought the militia out. Did we forget the Kyle Rittenhouse case, y'all? He killed 2 people, and the police that were sitting in tanks threw him a bottle of water, and he left the murder scene. So yeah, I'm not gonna sit up here and I'm a grown ass man. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I didn't see what I saw in 2020. And we can go back even earlier this year with what was my man name that got killed by the police in Memphis, Tennessee? Was it Tyree Nichols?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
We can go back to Tyree Nichols, how the governor of Georgia activated the National Guard in preparation for protests. So they only bring out their military and their militia when they think that we're going to stand up. So I think that goes right back to the citizenship process that we've never taken. We are quasi-citizens of this government, but we're not citizens. They don't bring out their military for nobody else but us. And I wasn't old enough to see them bring it out during the Black Panther movement and during the 60s. But we see the images of the police sicking dogs on our people. We see the images and the video of the military having to be at colleges. So the prisoners of war can now be integrated into the school system with these people. So I'm not in denial, man. I know what I'm looking at. I ain't crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think we're all in alignment on number 5. Let's go to number 6. We have polarization. Propaganda begins to be spread by the hate groups. The Nazis used the newspapers, their sternum, to spread and incite messages of hate about Jewish people. For propaganda, I mean, again, you can go from postcards of, lynchings of our people, all the way to cartoons.
Mass media,
mass
the
media,
news.
the list goes on. So it's propaganda, or in this case, polarization. I think we check that pretty easily as well. So far for me, 6 for 6, and I'll let you all kind of build on anything else that you all might want to add for that as well.
Yeah, propaganda. We just saw it this year again. We got short-term memories. Did we forget what we saw with Kanye West? If you got freedom of speech, we watched that man lose $1 million contracts just for freedom of speech.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie
Right? Is that
Irving.
his name? Yeah, Kyrie
Right.
Irving.
Absolutely. So we watched the propaganda and the polarization of our people. What about the women that lose family members that are killed by the police? How they're put on TV and made to sign confidentiality agreements and coming out and telling you to forgive, before their loved one is even put in the ground.
Correct. And even the women who are, married, still just show the women. So again, showing the propaganda or the perception of, single mother, even if there's a father in this individual's life as far as the child who was murdered. So again, that goes hand in hand with that as well.
And I would say lastly, local news. That's something that I've never really watched on a consistent basis. I use other outlets to get information, but local news, your 5 o'clock news, it's always a nonstop image of the worst of our group, if you will. Who's always shown committing the crimes, to everybody when they come home from work and they turn on the TV. It's always us. So yeah, the propaganda is real. And you got to remember, there's other groups of people that are on this landmass under this government. So they're all being conditioned and programmed through media to look at one group of people as the non-civilized.
Correct. So I think if you all are in agreement in the chat, go ahead and drop that 1. If that checks off the box, We'll go to number 7, preparation. Perpetrators plan the genocide. They often use euphemisms such as Nazi phrases, the final solution, to cloak their intentions. They create fear of the victim group, building up armies and weapons. I mean, we can go for all day on this one. I mean, war on crime, war on drugs, war on poverty, redlining, prison to school pipeline, or school to prison pipeline, rather. I mean, the list goes on for this one. So again, all of these phrases, as you mentioned too earlier, Chief Alligator, especially with the war on crime, all of these phrases to create fear, not fear amongst not only the victim group, but again, like you stated, the fresh off the boat people, the immigrants, saying, oh, this is the nigga that's causing all of these issues. So we must, interact with them, with a 10-foot pole, because they are the ones that are causing this crime, hence this war on crime mentality, war on poverty, war on drugs. And again, what are all of these phrases? What are the group that is being actually impacted from all this? And that'll be our group.
I agree definitely with that. We're always the target. We're always the target. And I think with us, again, it's just a matter of us not knowing until it's too late, or not waking up until it's too late. And then, destruction is already in place. So I just think that we've gotten too far, into these steps actually at this point, where we don't see it with our eyes at this point. I don't know. We just got to wake up.
Right. And I think the most recent phrase that we're all under is "Make America Great Again." That's the same as the final solution to cloak their intentions. When they say America Great Again, they know exactly what that means. And I'm going to circle back around to the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta was one of the cities. CNN actually had to move its headquarters in the city of Atlanta because the youth were out there protesting in 2020. And in turn, what does the city of Atlanta decided to do? They're going to create the nation's largest paramilitary police officer training facility. So that's a prime example of the last sentence in preparation, where it says they create fear of the victim group, building up armies and weapons. The youth was in the streets because they saw a 9-minute lynching. They then turned that around, the European, and now they're going to play victim when the people were traumatized and went out to protest, and they're going to build up their armies and their weapons. And the city of Atlanta has already voted and passed and are currently building the nation's largest paramilitary police training facility. So I would say check the mark off for preparation as well.
Correct. And again, if you all are in alignment in the chat, go ahead and drop a 1. So the next one we'll have would be number 8, I believe, and that's going to be persecution. Victims are identified because of their ethnicity or religion, and death lists are drawn up. People are sometimes segregated into ghettos, deported, or starved, and poverty is often expropriated. Genocidal massacres begin. This one, I mean, we're actually reading it right now in regards to the Cointel Pro. Did they not list, when we read, did they not have a list of identified threats that needed to be neutralized? When they mentioned MLK, Malcolm X, and even mentioned Elijah Muhammad, but stated that, hey, he was so old, we didn't really need him or need to off him. So again, I think that rhymes perfectly with that first sentence. And then as far as this, people are sometimes segregated into ghettos. When we read that 1968 Civil Rights Act, also known as the Indian Rights Act, what was the second half of that act talking about? Fair housing. Correct. Fair housing. So we read in that how families could be a single person, a single individual, more specifically targeting the mother, Because again, what was going on, what was taking place in 1968? We're reading a document that's telling you exactly what was taking place. The neutralization of threats or perceived threats by this government and their highest policing agency, which is the FBI. So we're all seeing how it's coming together. But again, these ghettos being shipped out or put into these tight confinements where you get your Section 8s, things of that nature. We're right there in regards to persecution. So I would think this is definitely checked off for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And think about the Nation of Islam as, you know, it's crazy, Nation of Islam and Black Panthers, right? They will label you militant for trying to practice self-preservation, right? So the Nation of Islam has some type of protection force, but the European is always enforced that they never arm themselves, right? The Black Panthers did choose to arm themselves, but they were quick to call them militant after the same government assassinated Martin Luther King. So yeah, the persecution is real. They do it in religion. As the example I just made, the death list, like you said, it's in the FBI Cointel pro papers. It starts off with that. We don't have to get into the ghettos. Most of our families do have at least one generation that came out of the ghettos, right? Somebody in our family. And property is often expropriated, right? In every what we know now as a state, we had towns. The United States government ran their highways right through the heart of our towns. So I'm going to say check off persecution as well. So that's 8 in a row.
All right, we'll keep it moving. Number 9, extermination. The hate group's murders their identified victims in a deliberate and systematic campaign of violence. Millions of lives have been destroyed or changed beyond recognition through genocide. I mean, this has been happening since this European has landed on this continent. We can go back to, well, we can just go to this year, where it comes to whether it's police killings or whether it is a active group that's killing our people. Even going back to the Tops massacre earlier this year, I believe that happened in, was it this year or last year? I believe it happened this year around February or March, going to that. Or again, just the constant police killings, even going back in history to the floodings and bombings of our town. So we can definitely see the extermination of our group through every generation, whether it's, every decade. But yeah, we can definitely point to this one as something that is definitely taking place and transpiring on our group of people.
Yeah. Chief Whitewater.
No, I definitely agree. For sure. I think that, just us being killed by the police again. I mean, that fits into several of these categories, but it's happening right in our face. And not only that, physically being killed, but just ignoring, benign and neglecting, us within the terms of this government. Is also a means of extermination as well, because we're just being ignored as if we just don't even exist.
Correct.
So I definitely think that would fit into this category.
Yeah. And everybody that's talking about American history, we're all saying the same thing. We're going back on our family trees and we're seeing the classification. Why is my birth certificate Black? My mom's Negro, my dad's colored, and then you may have somebody on the Dawes roll. So we can see how, where it says millions of lives have been destroyed or changed beyond recognition. Mm-hmm. We say that every time we tell people to do their genealogy and find out where they come from. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, it's hard for them to track back their own family. Why? Because things have been destroyed, right? What if your family goes back to a town that's currently under a lake, or currently under a parking lot, or currently under a highway? So yeah, I'm going to say we check off number 9 as well with extermination.
All right. And last but not least, denial. The perpetrators or later generations denied the existence the existence of any crime. I mean, that's where we at right now, y'all. Last week, again, the court ruling on affirmative action basically being rescinded, again, stating that race no longer matters. But again, that's just a clear sign of denial of what transpired in the 1960s. And not only is it a denial when it comes from this government, because again, they're not only doing it when it comes to certain laws, they're also doing it when it comes to our education, whether they're removing whole subjects or whole people out of curriculums in their indoctrination camps called schools. Not only that, we're having a third party now with the immigrant telling us that shit doesn't matter or that never happened. Perfect example will be this Vivek, I forget his last name, but he's running for president and telling, for lack of a better term, Black people that affirmative action doesn't matter. So we're not only getting it from this government, but getting it from the people who are coming over here fresh off the boat and are actually benefiting from what our ancestors fought for within the 1960s. So again, it's just a whole all around denial when it comes to our group of people. And I think this definitely checks off that mark.
This is probably the most, for me, this is the most important one to me. Number one, I'm gonna look inside first within our group. I think what makes us special with our genocide is our own denial as a group of people. We won't get real what's happened to us on this land. You know, we still have people amongst us that don't believe we're in a genocide, don't believe that we're being waged war against. So I think that's what makes it peculiar for us, because we're a sick group of people. We're sick because we don't know our history as a general. Yes, the people who rock with us and people who rock with other channels that talk about our American history, but we're a small percentage out of the whole. Most of us don't know what happened. So if you don't know your history, your politics are going to be fucked up. And that's where other groups of people are coming over here. And now I'm old enough to remember it would be second generation, because if I went to school with the first generation of immigrants growing up in South Florida, I remember what they looked like when we was in school. You know what I'm saying? The Jamaicans, the Haitians, you see what I'm saying? They would wear church shoes and tube socks. You know, we upgraded them. We taught them how to coordinate, how to dress, right? So now you're talking about 2 more generations since the time when that first generation of kids came over. Now they call us a cotta. Now they're blaming us like this is the greatest land on planet Earth, and you know, y'all just don't know how to get it together, just denying all these 9 steps of genocide that we've been through. So you even got other groups of people in denial about our story on the land. And then when you go back to the European, yeah, he's stepping away from race. At the highest court level, he just stepped away from race. So what he's trying to do is say, oh yeah, when we were calling you Negro, Black, and colored, yeah, that don't mean anything anymore. And I don't think a lot of us, we know something's wrong, but I don't think we really understand that the benign and neglect playing dumb is what I'm gonna call it. Anytime we talk about reparations, what do Europeans say? That happened so long ago. Why do I have to pay for the debts of my grandparents? That's the 10th stage of genocide, denial. The perpetrators or later generations, which is the people who are in public office now, deny the existence of any crime. We're gonna act like we weren't selling postcards of your lynchings. We're gonna act like we didn't run you out of towns. We're gonna act like we didn't put your towns under lakes and we ran highways through your, we're gonna act like we didn't do none of that. We're gonna act like we didn't reclassify you. That's where we are right now. They don't want to have the conversation with us, but you've watched since the pandemic, $500,000 to head a household for Ukrainian refugees, $500,000 to Afghanistan's who's head of household, refugees. You've watched the Asian hate crime bill where they got protection within a 90-day period, one fiscal quarter. You've yet to get anything specific. So it's right in our face. Chief Quietwater, anything you want to say on that? I think that's the most disappointing for me, is not only are they playing dumb, we're playing dumb.
For me also, I think that like you said, just the fact that they definitely play dumb, like with the critical race theory, wanting to take everything out of the books and things like that. I think it's important for us to see the play. We're definitely at the last stages of this thing. And I just believe that we, again, have to wake up. We have to realize where we are. And I think this was good for us to put on Front Street to see that we have definitely went through every single one of these steps in this process. And we are currently going through a couple of them at the same time, simultaneously. So I agree with both of you on it.
Absolutely. And like you stated, just not have gone. I mean, we have gone, currently going through them, and are projected to go through them based off of, again, this government's projections of our group, a lot of this stuff, which again, just all is under the umbrella of genocide. So for everybody in the chat, if you all agree that we have gone, are currently going through these stages, definitely drop a 1, and we'll get into our Cointel bill for tonight.
And we're also at a phase right now with the denial stage where, as we mentioned last week, we've already reached out to public servants, or to a public servant in the Congressional Black Caucus. And we're actually working on getting that representative that would be in the district in which we live in, to see if we can get an interview on a public platform, because now that we know about the civil rights era, and we know we were not defined, but we know they defined what an Indian was. Now it's time, and again, I'm gonna say this, most of the time when I want to do something that's above average or out of the ordinary, you're never going to get support from your people. They always say stuff like, you can't do that. Nah. So we already know you're going to always have negative energy. You got to have negative and positive energy in order to complete a circuit. But what we're going to do is we're stepping out as we promised, and we're going to start reaching out to people in real time. And we're going to start asking these people who look like us, who are in this non-existent caucus, we're going to ask them questions that nobody has asked in 52 years. The Black Congressional Caucus is the oldest caucus under the United States government, and yet you have, 1 week after MLK was killed, lawful definitions of Indian. We need to know, why is this caucus called Black? And it has the word Black has never been defined in law. We know we're not Black. We are the American. But we can't wait on propaganda that's run by the European to have these conversations. It's not going to happen. They're going to wait till voting season and just want you to participate and exercise a right to vote. These people are public servants. They're federal public servants. They're not lords. They're not gods. There's nothing unlawful with reaching out to them via email or via letter to have a conversation with them. They've been comfortably hiding and collecting federal paychecks and federal benefits while benign and neglecting us. It's time for the people to ask questions, to verify to ourselves, is it due to your ignorance? Or is it that you've known the whole time that this Black caucus was designed to not represent the people that stood for the civil rights movement? I'm of the assumption that they don't know. I may be wrong. I don't think they know in detail what we know on this channel, the people that's been rocking with us. How can I say that? We've never been schooled when we were in school in detail about the Civil Rights Acts. That's by design, people. They never wanted to get into what the 1964 Civil Rights Act was about, or the 1965 Voting Rights Act, or the 1968 Indian Rights Act. They would just show us nice, narrated, short videos of MLK's I Have a Dream speech, some water holes being hit on us, and some dogs being sick. Maybe you'll hear Medgar Evers' name. Maybe you'll hear about the people that got killed in Mississippi on the Freedom Ride tour. You may have heard of Rosa Parks, but they never cited to the documents. I don't think they know what we've learned on this channel. And if we're wrong, the only way we're going to know for sure is to ask the question and start treating these people as public servants. They work for you. You don't work for them. I think that's the hardest thing that we have to understand. Stop giving these people power that they do not have. It's nothing unlawful to correspond with a public servant. So those of us that are willing to take that journey with us, we're going to get into that a little bit further. What's wrong with sending an email? Asking some basic questions. Why is this caucus called Black when Black was never defined by this Congress in law? Why is it not the Indian caucus, since the 1968 Indian Rights Act has clearly 4 to 5 definitions of what Indian is? Why is there no definition of what a Negro, Black, colored was? You know, just simple questions so we can start to snatch the sheets off of, are you aware of what you're doing to us? Or are you ignorant to what's happening to us? What's y'all thoughts on that? Do y'all think these quote unquote Black caucus members know what the Civil Rights Acts entail? Or do you think that they're just ignorant to it and they just go along with, I got a good federal job and I'm gonna get my good benefits and my kids gonna go to college, and long as I'm straight, fuck the people?
I think it's the latter.
Same.
For sure. I think it's the ignorance. I think that, and they've gone too far, you know, because like you said, this is the oldest caucus that has been established. So I think that at this point, calling them out and them admitting to maybe knowing and not doing anything about it, or just taking care of their family branch, I think will just put them on Front Street. And they don't want to be in that place. So I definitely think it's the lack of, I think it's ignorance, but also I think I can't say that 100% of them don't know the real truth.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe it's not a lack of not knowing for them. I think it's an exercise of knowing and just not giving a fuck about the group as a collective. Again, being selfish in regards to, okay, me and mine are going to be set because now I have 9 terms in office. So again, that's 18 years if we're talking about a congressman. And then if you're talking about senators who I believe are 6-year terms, then it's even longer. So if I can get 18 years of government benefits, pretty much not doing anything on the job, because again, we know they're not doing anything because we have nothing specific in law. So you're getting 18 years worth of government benefits, not having to pretty much work. Who wouldn't want to do that? And all you have to do is just basically stay quiet, remain quiet, and make sure your people are continuously fucked over. So I don't think it's a lack of not knowing. I think it's an exercise of knowing and not giving that information to the masses, continuing to move the needle or move the goalpost and make sure that specific issues pertaining to the Black people will never be addressed, and will just always be pretty much a helping hand for every other group that's fighting for civil rights that, again, our ancestors fought for. So I wouldn't give them any leeway of not knowing. You're in government. You understand the rules of Congress. You understand that pretty highly, on a high scale. So yeah, I don't think it's anything as far as ignorance on their part.
And you go to the email that we sent, it's up to y'all if y'all want to. So this is an email that we sent on Friday morning. We're going to be transparent with y'all because again, we're going to walk it like we talk it. So this email, it states, hello, Congressman Hank Johnson. Hank Johnson is the Black Congressional Caucus representative that's in the area. We are in Atlanta, okay? So we're suggesting that other adults, we get it, 10% of the people do 90% of the work. I have over 18 years of experience with being of service. So I have a lot of experience. I understand what it's like to try to organize with our people, right? Sometimes you got to rattle cages and get the party started. So if you can click back on that real quick, just so people can see, this is not hard, people. This is not unlawful or illegal to send an email to the quote unquote Black Congressional Caucus representative in the area you reside and ask some simple questions. And here's the questions that we asked in this email. It says, myself and 3 other chiefs would appreciate the opportunity to schedule a meeting with you surrounding some concerns we have over the misinformation taught within the U.S. school system and the lack of resources and laws specifically for quote unquote Black people. We understand the broad range of the topics above. So below, we have provided a few questions that we would like answered during the meeting to come. The first question, where are the definitions for Negro, Black, Colored, and or Afro-American from the U.S. Congress and law? Second question, why isn't there a Negro, Colored, Black, or Afro-American Rights Act from the U.S. government like there is for the Indian? Third question, why does your campaign page not list anything specifically for quote unquote Black people, even though you are a member of the Congressional Black Caucus? The concerns we have are on a very large scale, and we have always and continue to be ignored by this government, and we would like answers regarding why we've had nothing specifically in law to protect us in comparison to other groups. We look forward to the opportunity to discuss the topics above and answers to those questions. So what we're saying is, as adults and as goal-oriented people who know how to get from point A to point B, that's what organizing as a collective group of people are. These are 3 questions that we all can send. You all can do a screenshot of this and send it to your respective Black Congressional Caucus member and ask those 3 questions. Now, what's the purpose of asking those 3 questions? You play chess, not checkers. We already know Negro, Black, Colored, and Afro-American has never been defined in law through Congress. We already know that. So we're asking questions that we already know the answer to and have proof of claim to cite to, which is the Civil Rights Acts. But what we're also doing intellectually is it's time to break the Wizard of Oz curse. We're so scared to go into the infrastructure and ask the questions. The biggest thing in my personal life, when I decided to be above average as an individual, was whatever we don't want to do as a group of people. If I get 8 people tell me, man, you can't do that, I'm doing it. And every time I do it, guess what? It works in my favor. So what I'm saying to us as a group of people, if you're hesitant about reaching out and asking these questions, it's that fear that's paralyzing us as a group because we're treating these people like they're boogeyman, and they're not. That man put on his pants just like I do, Hank Johnson. If you got a female in your district or another male, we need to start asking these questions because the Black Caucus is your liaison to the United States government. The Asian hate bill was created because the Asian caucus worked on behalf of their people. You have not gotten the police defunded. You do not have a quote unquote black hate bill. And we're only using the word black because there's a black congressional caucus. So we're going to expose the hypocrisy of this caucus. And I'm going to say this for those of us that are in business. What is the first thing you do when you go into business? You have to come up with a name for your business. We don't have a name as a group of people, y'all. We don't have to wait till a voting cycle to get a name in the game. That's what that's what we need to be telling the Black Congressional Caucus. We need to be defined as the American in law through Congress. And if that doesn't happen, then why are we continuing to act like we're a part of something that we're not? We can't go there yet because we first have to collectively act, not all of us, but the 10%, that are willing to send an email and ask the questions and see, are you going to introduce the definition of this group so that it can be passed in the House, passed in the Senate, and signed by the president? If they're not even willing to introduce it, that tells us something. And if they do introduce it and the House and the Senate don't vote on it, that also tells us something. But we have to get the ball rolling with being identified. Anybody, what's your thoughts in the chat? What's your thoughts on this panel? That's right. We can't do business and we can't get resources because we haven't decided how we're going to do business when it comes to, we haven't been defined by this Congress. What's your thoughts, Chief Wildwater, Chief Vico?
I agree. That's the first step. And I think if we start, with our local congressmen, if more, and a lot of them in different cities and states are members of the Congressional Black Caucus. If enough of us, come together and do this same thing, they'll start talking among themselves, like you said, with the Asian hate bill, it didn't take them long at all. We don't have to wait until voting season or, the next time that it's time for us to vote for us to present something to them that we want them to do. We just need to make them do it. And we need to make noise until it's done.
Definitely in alignment with that, with both of you. If we can all, again, everybody on this panel, everybody within the chat, just reach out to your local congressman or woman, see if they are a part of this Congressional Black Caucus. If you don't have one that is, just reach out to any of them. Again, you can go to their site and look down and look through the actual members of the Congressional Black Caucus and just email them this exact email. If you don't want to do it from your personal email for any reason, create a fake one. If you want to protect your, anonymity. But the questions still need to be asked. The questions still need to be posed to these individuals because, as I stated earlier, they've been munching off of, this free ride within the government for way too long. Again, 1971, we're talking about 52 years of government benefits for this group of this group of members of the Congressional Black Caucus who have done nothing within those 52 years. So the minimum we could do is ask a question. Go ahead.
If you can keep that up, we'll finish out just by pulling up the other caucuses.
Okay.
But I wanna come back to my own personal experience. I remember when and I'm gonna share this for the men. I remember when my son was born. A lot of my friends that graduated in the 90s, they had kids in high school. And a lot of my male friends, that hurt them in their adulthood through their 20s, through their 30s, being in arrears with child support, things like that, just not understanding the system, and some of my friends had suggested to me, like, man, don't sit around and wait. Like, I had a child and I wasn't married. So let me say that. So when you have a child and you're not married, that child used to be called a bastard child. In today's world, they don't use the word bastard. They call it illegitimate, right? And the word illegitimate, the legal term for that is basically the child can't inherit from the father, right? The state's the child's father. When I decided to go through that system, I had family and friends telling me, man, don't go down there dealing with them people, man. Man, you ain't no lawyer, man. You can't go down there and da 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 da. And so I'm speaking from real life experience on the personal side, as well as somebody who's been owning and operating a business since 2009. You don't get anywhere in life letting the people who are scared dictate what you can or cannot do. Had I listened to my family, the men in my family telling me the systems, don't go down there, the system design, the da 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 da. If I would have listened to those men, when those men were trying to instill that fear in me, what they did not understand is I was losing respect for them as men. And those were uncles and those were cousins. And those, some of them were even mentors of mine that were older than me. So what I'm saying is, you wonder why the youth have a disconnect between the middle age and the elder men. It's because you're not talking to them as from an empowerment standpoint. You're talking to them from a defeated standpoint. You're telling them what they can't do instead of encouraging them to try. So I'm grateful that I went against the grain and tried and took it all the way to the Court of Appeals in the state that I had to go to and actually proved the state wrong. Stop giving these people credit that they understand what they do on a day-to-day basis. Most people don't challenge them. Most people take plea deals or settle. It's not a lot of cases that they have to do homework on. So I'm saying that to say this is just another journey for me. I am not one bit afraid of challenging none of these people because I know you don't get to the next step as a group or as an individual, letting other people intimidate you about what you can or can't do. If you're on the right side of things, like we are as a group of people, what are we afraid of? Go ahead, Chief Biko.
I definitely just wanted to point this out as we close out this evening. Again, just go to, Congressional Black Caucus page. I just went underneath menus and clicked on issues, and this is what populated. But I just wanted to show you all this and why this is very important for us. So the person that is tasked for race and justice is Representative Hank Johnson. So it's important for us to ask these questions to these individuals, because again, we're seeing that they have certain issues that they are tasked with handling. And in regards to Mr. Hank Johnson's, this is one, again, here in Atlanta, District 4 to be specific, and it's coincidentally the same district in which this paramilitary camp for policing is taking place in, yet he is being tasked for Race and Justice Task Force. So these people need to be questioned, they need to be checked. And again, depending on the answer, depends on our next steps. Whether it is something that, as Chief Alligator stated, is introduced as far as a bill and it gets shut down, or is introduced as a bill and it gets passed, either answer, we're going to have an answer, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to show that as well. But again, showing these different caucuses. And again, how they have made things shake as far as protection, resources, things of that nature, versus the one that was established first and the longest has done nothing for our group. Anything you want to add on that, Chief?
Yeah, go to the About Us section and let the people see what the problem is. You can start with the oldest one, which is the Black Congressional Caucus, and let's see what they are about. It says, since its establishment in 1971, the Congressional Black Caucus has been committed to using the full constitutional power, statutory authority, and financial resources of the federal government to ensure that African Americans and other marginalized communities in the United States have the opportunity to achieve the American dream. We have a problem with that, people, because why are you called the Black Caucus, but you're ensuring that African Americans and other marginalized communities in the United States have the opportunity to achieve the American dream. We're out of line. We're not in alignment. So you can't be the Black Congressional Caucus if you're ensuring something for Afro-Americans and marginalized communities. So y'all got to make this make sense to us. This is not hard. We have to, in addition to, and I'm gonna say this, anybody that's got a problem with what we're doing moving forward, most likely they're immigrants. See, because these melanated immigrants have been riding our coattails since the civil rights era. So when we disassociate ourselves from African-American and Black and just be the American, then that's going to put us in our proper standing as a group. And these other people will be the US citizens that you took the test to pass and got your US citizenship for. It's really just that simple. You're not us. You know where your grandmama from. Your grandmama from Haiti, Jamaica, Nigeria. That's where you're from. You can be a US citizen, cool, but you're not American. And that's the biggest problem we have right now is we have to come to the realization that melanated immigrants, some of them will probably ride with us, and those are the ones that can support us. But it's an A and B conversation. We really don't need your support. This really ain't got nothing to do with you. But if you down with, riding with us, we'll find something for you to do, but this ain't got nothing to do with you because your people weren't here for what we're talking about. So this is a serious lineage issue that we have. We have people speaking about stuff when their people were not on this land. And I'll say this last piece on this. Every immigrant that comes over here has the same story, y'all. You know what that story is? The story is my people came over here with nothing. Think about that. They all say their people came over here with nothing. Yeah, slaves have nothing. Peasants have nothing. That's not our story. Our people owned land, ran towns, had houses. So it's not hard what we're saying. They're really telling on themselves. They know the ancestor that came over here with nothing. Who has nothing, y'all? That's all I'm asking. Who has nothing when they came to America? Would that not be a slave? Would that not be a peasant? So how is it that we're supposed to be the slave, but we got all this governmental evidence that you've ran us out of towns, bombed towns, got towns underwater, all these inventions that you stole? That's the reason we do a different industry that has to be manufactured on planet Earth every week. We're basically saying they stole this from you. They stole this also. Oh yeah, they stole this too. So we done listed 105 industries that they stole from us. And we're still walking around letting people come out of their mouth and call us slaves when these immigrants, family members came over here with nothing. I got one more question for the immigrant that has a family member that came over here with nothing. When's the last time that you did your genealogy? And can you go back and find your family in Europe, in Africa? See, because it's interesting that we can do our genealogy and we can trace our family back to the country or back to certain parts of North America. And the families that still have land like mine, we got stories of the men that were busting heads in order to keep it. You can't keep something through Jim Crow era and come from pussies. For those of us that were forced to walk away from what we had and move to Chicago, move to Detroit, move up north, we all together in this struggle. But we gotta look at these immigrants for who they are. They don't know their families, the majority, where they come from. So who's the slave? We know who our families are when we do our family tree. Chief Biko, anything you want to say on that?
I'm just in complete alignment, man. I agree with everything you're stating. And just there about paragraph tells the story of exactly what you just explained. I'll read this last part, and just ask you, what does that sound like to you? It says, as part of this commitment, the Congressional Black Caucus has fought for the past 50 years to empower these citizens, meaning African Americans, and address their legislative concerns. Again, these citizens, meaning African Americans and other marginalized communities, but empower these citizens and address their legislative concerns by pursuing a policy agenda that includes but is not limited to the following. So as you stated, we never went through a process to become a citizen. So who are these citizens and their legislative concerns that they are pursuing? Because it's obviously not us. But we know, as you just stated, it's these immigrants who are coming over here and then under the guise eating off of our labor as Black or other terms that they have, again, reclassified us as, and getting these benefits and empowering those individuals. Because as you stated, how are you a Black caucus, but you're not ensuring that Black people or the Black community in the United States has an opportunity to achieve the American dream? So they're
Right.
telling us exactly who they work for, but I just wanted to kind of highlight that because that kind of stood out to me while reading this again.
Yeah, and that name Black, we already know that that's not a name that we would go by. We are the American, but if we can contrast and run parallel, can you go to the Hispanic caucus and go to their about section so that people can see that at the highest level within the federal government through the legislative branch, let's see what the Hispanic caucus says on their About Us page. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus was founded in December 1976. So 5 years after the Black Congressional Caucus, here comes the Hispanic Caucus as a legislative service organization of the United States House of Representatives. Today, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus is organized as a congressional member organization, governed by the rules of the U.S. House of Representatives. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus addresses national and international issues and crafts policies that impact the Hispanic community, period. Do y'all see the problem? Here's a Hispanic caucus representing Hispanic people. You've got a Black caucus representing African Americans and other marginalized groups. Do we see the problem, y'all? They're specific from a mathematical or an accounting standpoint. They're only riding for the Hispanic community. The Black Congressional Caucus rides for African American, something that they're not even named after, and other marginalized communities. So they have several itemized expenses on their expense sheet that they're going to account for. Meanwhile, the Hispanic Caucus has one expense item, the Hispanic people. It goes on to say, the function of the caucus is to serve as a forum for the Hispanic members of Congress to coalesce around a collective legislative agenda. Wow. The caucus is dedicated to voicing and advancing through the legislative process, Congress, issues affecting Hispanics in the United States, Puerto Rico, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The Black Congressional Caucus About Us says nothing of that nature. They are solely focused on Hispanic. That shit don't say Black and brown. It don't say we partner with the Black Caucus. It don't say that we support and craft policies for Afro-Americans. The Hispanic Caucus rides for the Hispanics. Can we go to the Asian Caucus, Chief Biko, or anything you want to say on that one?
Nah, I mean, pretty self-explanatory, man. They're specific, and rightfully so should be worrying about themselves and themselves only. So as we take a look here about the looking at their about page. All right, here we go. Oh, did you want me to go ahead and read it off?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so we have purpose, mission, and goals. The Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus is comprised of members of Congress of Asian and Pacific Islander descent and members who have a strong dedication to promoting the well-being of the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, period. Currently chaired by Congresswoman Judy Chu, the Congressional Asian Pacific Islander Pacific American Caucus has been addressing the needs of the AAPI community in all areas of American life since it was founded in 1994. So again, the youngest out of the three, but again, following suit with the Hispanic as far as being specific. That way they know who they are accounting for and not, again, just creating individuals to account for like you saw within the Congressional Black Caucus. The Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus is nonpartisan and bicameral.
Yeah, so it's not gonna, it's gonna itemize. It's gonna rise specifically for what it was created for. So we just wanted to show or remind the people of this. You have to understand how this government that we're currently under or being occupied by works. And we're just gonna ask some basic questions. And again, this is an A and B conversation. If you rocking with us and you are a US citizen and your lineage goes back to another landmass, shout out to you rocking with us. But if you are a melanated immigrant and you oppose what we're doing, it don't matter because this shit ain't got nothing to do with you anyway. Your family wasn't here. So again, anytime you set a goal, we anticipate and we look forward to the resistance. We look forward to the haters. I like to call them fuck niggas. You know what I'm saying? Because from my experience in life, nigga won't never tell you in your face how you feel. You know what I'm saying? But you always got people who will sit back and hide in the, behind the scenes, I like to always say, I like to walk light and carry a big stick. You know what I'm saying? I can get along with everybody, you know what I'm saying? And anybody, but I'm only going to die once. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not living in fear. I don't believe that there's no group of people that's supreme to me. I understand that my family to this day has what they have as far as land is concerned. And there's a certain responsibility that comes with that and a certain type of behavior that comes with self-preserving who you are and your family. And I believe a lot of people that rock with us on this channel have that same mindset that you got to protect who you are. And it comes with self-preservation. And the first thing they got to do is watch their mouth. You've called us enough nicknames over the last couple of 100 years. And since you want to, at your highest court level, do away with the nicknaming, you just did us a favor. Let's get back to the lineage. You see, let's start there. But we're only expecting 1 out of every 10 people that are willing to even send an email and ask that question to the representative in your area. We get it, but nothing happens if nothing happens. So we're solving problems. Now that we've educated ourselves, we understand what time it is. We got the documents to cite to, on every live. At this point, as adults, there's nothing else really that, we have to continue to go around about. Now it's time to start asking people, since we've studied to show ourselves approved, some real questions. And let's get to the bottom of solving some things for that next generation. Because it's a hard pill to swallow when you got to explain to your kids, why they're not slaves, why their school teacher is telling them one thing, and then you got to come home privately and tell them another thing. If you've told your kids, how to be fearful when they get pulled over by the police, do you want to have that same conversation with your grandkids? So it's not going to stop unless we decide to stand up and, do what those did during the civil rights era. Some people lost their lives. Some people are incarcerated to this day. Some people are in hiding. But we wouldn't have the benefit of going to school with all these different groups of people if those people back then didn't stand up. So it's, those that are willing to pick up the baton and move forward and push the envelope even further than what King, Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, the Dinkin of Defense, It's time for us to carry that mantle. And I think we're the best generation to do it because we went to school with everybody. So regardless of what propaganda says, we know these people aren't supreme to us. We know that we whooped their ass in anything we competed with, whether it was spelling bees, football, basketball, boxing, baseball. I mean, come on. I mean, that's my personal experience. So I don't fear no immigrants, because I probably went to school with your parents, with your moms and your dads. And there was no disrespect when I was growing up. So I don't know where all this came from, but it's time to get straightening. Long overdue. Chief Biko?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So without further ado, go ahead and close out. So definitely shout out to everybody who's been rocking with us. Been building for almost 2 hours now. So definitely appreciate you all staying engaged, going through the actual stages of the genocide. Because just to again summarize, that's where we at. That's where we're currently at. That's what we've been going through as a group of people. And we also see who we need to be addressing from this point forward. As Chief Alligator stated earlier, we have all the documents. All of the documents are accessible. Again, it's public record, but just for quick access, if you all want to just go to any video, again, check that description link, grab those documents, and again, just ask the questions to your local representative. And if you don't have one in your area, go to that site and just find their email. Again, they're public servants. So who do they serve? They're supposed to serve us. So they aren't beyond approach. And that's what we need to start doing as a collective, going back to the Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote. Let's go ahead and start practicing some foresight as a group. Let's be adults and start practicing foresight, start planning ahead. And this is one simple thing that we all can do. Again, even if it's just 10% of us, that 10% is going to shake some things up for the masses. So definitely appreciate everybody rocking with us. Got Chief Quietwater jumping in. I'll see if she has any closing remarks. And again, salute to everybody as we continue to walk down this journey. You're on mute.
Yeah, as Chief Quietwater comes back in, definitely want to get the feminine energy and how she feels about all of this as a woman. Like I said, I heard Copper Empress sharing earlier today, and I heard the cries. And it's just it's who I am. You know what I'm saying? I was raised by both parents. Neither one of my parents participated in the church. This is neither here nor there, but they all told me, both parents were in alignment with that. They were like, we were forced to do it. They had their own thoughts on it. Again, both going through the Vietnam era, joining different branches of the military. So a lot of things I despised and hated growing up about, basically, having to grow up faster than a lot of my childhood peers. But I can look back now and I think it was a blessing in disguise. I know it was a blessing in disguise. Having that order, having that discipline, having that structure, understanding, my whole life. I don't understand the bullying, never been bullied. I'm just not wired like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand it. If I'm being honest, I don't understand it. I don't understand as a man how you fear another man. I mean, you get along with people, but there, as a man, when the line is crossed, and I just never had that issue, with a European just thinking they can just talk to me any kind of way, get sideways with me. Like I don't put off that kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's not about being a bear or anything like that, but I thank my parents for showing me how to defend myself and how to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? And I just, where the men that can relate to what the fuck I'm talking about? I ain't finna keep playing around with this shit. It's a lot of pussy ass niggas out here, for real. It's a lot of fuck niggas out here, man. Like, where the real niggas at that can relate to what the fuck I'm talking about, man? If you got kids and you out here being bashful and act like you scared to stand up, do you realize that you are the largest example for your kids? Like, for real, I'm talking to the men. Like, for real, y'all. You know what I'm saying? The women are calling out. The women are asking. The women tired of it. The women are tired of it. So where we at? What we gonna do? I can't really rock with motherfuckers that's not versatile. You see what I'm saying? You got to be able to walk in different rooms, man. We can't be a one-trick pony. We've been a one-trick pony for 60 years. This whole idea that everybody Christian and everybody forgive, that's not our group of people, because you can get your whole world fucked up running across the wrong group of men within our respective tribes. And we all know that. We got to stop letting these people get in front of the TV and act like we all some docile, walk around, get your ass whooped, begging. Like, that's not who we are. That's not who we are. You just saw that last night with the dude Ennis that fought Chico, man. You know what I'm saying? Buddy hit, he hit it, man. He damn near Buddy with that two-piece combo. We when it comes to aggressiveness, man, we the best, man. Nobody does it like we do it. I just don't understand how we got so pussy over the last 60 years. It's time out. Supreme Court done took the race thing out of the issue. Affirmative action is now no longer available. What make you niggas think that at the federal, state, and local level, they're not going to do away with affirmative action too? Who benefits mostly from affirmative action? Our moms, the women in our family. How much fear do you think they put into other men from other groups of people when they walk in business meetings? None. No disrespect to women, but a man doesn't fear you when you stick your chest out. But a man does have to think twice about another man that can bring ass and whoop ass. Chief Quietwater, what you got to say as a woman, how you feel about the men and what we should be doing and what time we should be on as far as a group of people?
I definitely am 100% in agreement with everything that you said. Yes, we definitely need our men to stand up, because the agenda that's being pushed with, the LGBTQ and, every man that we see on mass media, on TV, on these reality shows and things of that nature are soft men. That's why I don't watch it. And I think that it's projecting a negative thing, especially if you have, women who have young boys, male children. I think that is important for those young children, young males to actually have someone to look up to and to know that, yeah, this is how a man is supposed to be. This is how a man is supposed to protect his family and lead his family. And that's just not what is happening right now in our society. And we're going along with the narrative of letting them just spoon feed us how we should feel, what the definition of our men should be and things of that nature. And we're falling right into their agenda. So definitely, I feel that we do want to see more men stand up and lead, because I know me personally, I know what the power that you all possess. I know what you all are capable of. So I definitely think just on a mass level that we just need to collect, and women need to support men, our men as well, because we definitely can't be out here on the front line. It's going to take the men. So we actually need to step up, and we have to be able to support our men that's willing to stand up for our people as well.
Can you get a little bit more in detail, Chief Quietwater, with the domesticated man that's always been put in front of us on TV versus, I guess, the man that you're asking to stand up and be the protector of the female and the children? Can you get a little bit more specific with that? Just as a woman, how do you feel when you see these domesticated, well-spoken Negroes who don't have any buck in their system at all? How does that make you feel as a woman? And compare that to how you would feel when there's a man that speaks out, that's willing to bring ass and whoop ass intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and physically if need be.
I think that what is projected out there and what we see, for me personally, I don't see those type of men, like you said, well-spoken Negroes that are just gonna just talk, basically. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me feel safe. It just makes me look at them like, is that all you're gonna do is just talk? So I think that for women, I think that because that has been what has been in our foresight and what's been put in front of us all of these years, but real women recognize real men. So I don't think that it's going to be hard for the masses of the alpha men to like really stand up, and it's not going to be a task for us women to support you guys. But I think also, just on a grander scheme of things, I just think that it's just the ignorance of us that is keeping us in the background in regards to the alpha man to want to step up and be on the front line. So yeah, I definitely don't. I'm not going to say I don't respect the men that are put in front of us, but they're not doing anything. We past 60 years into this thing, and nothing has changed. So something has to change. And it's a class of us that I think that we can make a change. We just gotta, we gotta know first where we stand.
And it's an easy challenge. If I might respond to what you said, the domesticated Negro that's always on TV or is relegated to a cubicle, you could start by stop calling us things that we're not, meaning Black, Negro, and colored. We're the American. And if you're on TV, it would be nice that you start calling us by our name.
Mm-hmm.
The first level of disrespect is when you start letting motherfuckers try you and call you out your name. Every time they call us Black or minority or Afro-American, what y'all can do is check them. But you can't check them if you don't know your history. That's part of it, but that's an easy thing they can do. Stop calling it. No, I can't be Black because the Supreme Court just said that race is not an issue anymore. So now we're going to have to go by lineage. That's your out for the domesticated Negro. You can put it on the Supreme Court with the affirmative action decision last week. We're done with race. No, I'm not Afro-American. That's a race. No, we're going to talk about lineage. I got generations of people buried in this land. I am American. I'm the only group of people on this land that did not go through a United States citizen 10-step process. I am that one. I cannot be deported nowhere else. I'm him. We are they. Everybody else got immigration papers. We don't have that. So what's hard about this, y'all?
Yeah, no, real shit. And for the younger generation, that's the real I'm him. Because they like to say that, a lot. So like you just stated, none of our family members went through no damn naturalization process to become a U.S. citizen. So yeah, you want to take that race shit off? All right, cool. Now start addressing me as the American, as such. Because yeah, it's getting real disrespectful out here. You got Indians saying, descendants of slave, going back again to that Breakfast Club interview with that Vivek guy. Again, that should have been checked by Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and the woman. I don't descend from slaves. Your goddamn parents came over here poor, struggling, trying to reap off the benefits that my ancestors fought for. So again, like you stated, yeah, it's time to start checking these individuals, these people, especially in regards to that.
And say it with your chest. When you say what Pico just said, say it with your chest. That my people didn't come from nothing. My people had something. That's the only reason your ass over here. So let's talk about a little bit about that person that came over here on their dick, broken, fucked up. So what did he tell you he was doing? And you see how we flipped that on them? We start asking them questions. So really, your dad came over here and he had nothing. So what did he tell you about your family? Where you from? What were y'all doing? See, instead of them trying to say we descend from slaves, no, you just admitted that your dad was on his dick when he came over here. So if he came over here on his dick, then he must have been on his dick where he from. Yes. Okay, it ain't hard. This shit ain't hard. 1 + 1 still equal 2, right? Go ahead.
Bingo.
Go.
Anything, Chief Quiet Water, before we close out? I think we can land the plane on that one.
Yeah.
Because I think we gave a lot of gems.
Some good interaction in the chat tonight too. So thank everybody for tapping in and interacting with us, and us all being on the same page about these steps with the genocide, that is definitely an eye opener for me.
Correct. And yeah, definitely take advantage of the at bare minimum emailing these damn politicians, man. I mean, that's a practical thing that we can all do on this panel, in the chat, in this community, is actually go ahead and reach out to these individuals and ask them those questions. So when we talk about solutions and we're giving practical applications or practical things that can be actually put out there, go ahead and utilize them. You know, what's the point of knowing something if you're not going to use that knowledge to actually empower yourselves as well as your community? So I challenge everybody on the panel, in the chat, in this, American community, to go ahead and do that.
Once a week, y'all. Once a
week. Absolutely. Repetitive.
This the second week of the third fiscal quarter. So we're in the brand new fiscal quarter. Once a week, send the email until we get one of these public servants to talk to the educated group
I
of
challenge everybody on the panel.
so that they can, I mean, it's that time. We gotta be consistent with it. It's called accomplishing a goal. It can't be a one-hit wonder. So we sent an email Friday. So we can all collectively actually pick a day. Well, it'll take a little bit more practice to get that organized. But since we started on Friday, every Friday, we're going to send an email. And we're going to send it once a week. And that's how shout out to Napoleon Hill. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. If we do it once a week consistently, eventually people, they're going to come out of hiding and they're going to have to answer the questions that we're posing. And it's an email, y'all. It's an email. You ain't got to walk outside your house and do nothing. All you got to do is send the email. It ain't hard, but can we do it and will we do it?
Correct. Anything else? I mean, shoot, I think we good to go, y'all. Definitely, again, shout out to everybody in the chat for rocking with us. Appreciate the engagement. But yeah, let's go ahead and, practice what we preach and start implementing that again, practicing this foresight instead of hindsight. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be beneficial for us as a group. Again, setting the goal out and achieving that goal. Hell, we got to at least have a goal to try to strive for. So that's the goal we're putting out there, to every week reach out to these Congressional Black Caucus members via email until we get a response. Again, this is not difficult.
Close us out, Chief Quietwater, with that feminine energy. What do you want to tell us men? Close us out on this note about sending this email.
For sure. I think that we just, like you said, need to be consistent with it. And we definitely want to see more men stand up, more real men stand up who's not afraid to take this stand and to take this walk until action is actually until the goal is met. Like, we can't just do it and then get back to the regularly scheduled program. I think that we have to continue to do it. Then that will, give us motivation to support you guys more and more and more. And I think that the momentum will grow. Even just with this, who we're on the video with tonight. Like, it's 100 people watching. I don't know how many is actively in the chat, but people who are actually on this live now, that's 100 people. Every single person do this. Some of us may be in the same city. Some of us may be in the same state. Just continuously do these things to make something happen. I just think that it's not going to be hard for us to support and to follow the men. We just have to see it. We have to see the action, and we can do it together.